My name is Professor Lisa Henderson. I'm Head of Psychology at the University of York. And actually I've been there for quite a few years. So in 2005 I did one of our MScs and I stayed there to do a PhD, postdoctoral research, and then became a lecturer in 2012. So the University of York is part of the prestigious Russell Group, which means we are a very intensive research academic institution of high prestige. So we feature within the top 10 in most of the league tables. We also feature in the QS World 100, top 100 universities. And then the research excellence framework, again, we have many departments, including psychology, that fall within that top 5 to 10% of psychology departments within the UK. The psychology at York is one of the best psychology departments in the country. We're award-winning and in top league table positions for our research, our teaching, and our student support. So we are a research-led institution. Research is at the heart of everything we do, and our teaching programs are research-led, which means that we're training students on cutting-edge research in their specialised fields. In the last Research Excellence Framework, our outputs were voted as second best in the country, beating departments such as Oxford and Cambridge. Our research environment was rated as joint first. And that's because of the excellent facilities that we have that really do set us apart from other departments. So we have a dedicated neuroimaging facility where students can actually use these facilities as part of their research projects in year 3 and year 4 of our programs. So they get to use facilities like fMRI, MEG, EEG to measure what happens in the brain and relate that to human behaviour. Very few other departments offer students the ability to use those kinds of techniques hands-on. We're also one of the only departments in the country that has a sleep lab. So we actually can measure what happens in the brain during sleep. We can manipulate those oscillations that happen during sleep and improve things like memory and mental health. And again, students not only get to take part in those experiments, but they also get to use those facilities in their projects. We also have a virtual reality lab where we do research with the Ministry of Defence and military in terms of how we can improve decision making in really threatening situations. We're working with the Marines on a project on that at the moment. So we have facilities that students can use to support their studies, which really you can't find that combination of facilities elsewhere. Optionality is also a really huge bonus of our programs. So students in their third years, for instance, get to choose from between 40 different advanced modules at the cutting edge of research. Some of those modules involve practical skills-based learning content in things like clinical, educational and forensic psychology, and they're taught by people practicing in those fields, so real-life clinical, educational and forensic psychologists, and that's also really beneficial from an employability perspective. We also offer placement modules and placement years, so students can go and get experience in the real world to supplement their degree, and that forms part of their degree, which again is a real employability enhancer. So the year 1 and 2 of our degree programs cover basic theoretical mechanisms in psychology, from development and language, to perception and cognition, brain and behaviour, and social and individual differences psychology. So that's where students get that kind of grounding in theory. And then as students progress throughout the degree programs, they then get to specialise more so in the particular aspects of psychology that interest them the most. And that's where we introduce more in the way of practical skills. So that begins even in year 1 and 2 by training students in terms of how to carry out research and run research projects. Students also get valuable experience in our labs. They can take part in experiments themselves, and many of them volunteer in our labs and so they're getting direct hands-on research experience. We also then offer a number of kind of practical skills-based modules in things like clinical psychology, forensic psychology, and educational psychology that are taught by practitioners in those fields, which is really valuable for students to get that insight, not only from kind of theoretical and translational point of view, but also with a view to enhancing their employability at the end. Also, in terms of practical-based skills, students can also take placement modules or a whole placement year. So this is where students can go out into the community, they can work for industry. So we have links with marketing and advertising companies, for example. Some of our students go and work in the education, health sectors. Some of them go into the, kind of the private and voluntary sectors and go and work with charities. So that can be done during a single semester, or it can be a whole year, and involves kind of reflective-based assessment. And that's hugely valuable in helping students to discover what they are most interested in and what employability pathways they might want to follow. So I think the great thing about psychology is just how varied the employment opportunities really are. And so it's really important to us that we cover that breadth in opportunities for students. Most of our students, I'd say, are interested in clinical psychology and mental health. That's what the majority of our students come for, and want to pursue doctorates in clinical psychology and related careers around mental health practitioner kinds of roles. Similarly, many students are interested in educational psychology and going on to pursue doctorates in educational psychology. And our degree is very well suited to those doctorate training routes because we are British Psychological Society accredited. We have that BPS accreditation, which means that students can go directly into those doctoral training programs. If we didn't have that accreditation, then an additional qualification would be required. So that's really critical. It also means that our degree program is regulated by that body as well, so has to maintain a level of quality. Other career pathways that are of interest to our students are forensic psychology. We're seeing data science as a really growing area of interest for our students. It's a really nice one because it's quite generic as well, so it's one that you can apply to multiple different fields. So our statistics and advanced research methods training permeates across our degree. And it's something that students can specialise in year 3 if they wish. We also have a new dedicated MSc programme in data science. And within that, they can specialise whether they want to focus on health kinds of data or education or industry level data. It also involves a student project where they get to practice some of those skills. So yeah, data science is something that we're seeing increasingly popular. So amongst our PhD graduates, for instance, now 50% of them seem to be going into data science. Other students go into things like teaching, advertising and marketing and management. So it really is very broad, and we're kind of well equipped to support those various employability pathways. Our institution offers a psychology conversion program. It's run through the education department primarily. And the idea behind this program was to take students who might have a psychology background but not with an accredited undergraduate degree, or may not have studied psychology at all, but need that psychology qualification in order to go on to their chosen career. So it is a program that covers the basics in psychology and then allows students to go on and apply for doctoral training routes in things like clinical and educational psychology. The conversion course at York has an education flavour to it. It's run through education, but it does offer optionality, so it is possible for students to take courses in things like mental health, intelligence and genetics, and again kind of curate their own pathways. So primarily we look for students that have a real passion and determination and dedication to want to pursue psychology. So students that are really interested in why humans behave as they do and what underlies those behaviours. So we have a real strength at York in neuroscience and facilities to measure neuroscience. And so students that are particularly understanding, analysing the human mind at those various levels are students that we particularly look for. But we really do look for students from a wide variety of academic backgrounds, and we cater for that as well. So we provide skills level support in things like writing and statistics. So if you come from a different type of academic background, then that support is available to you. And you know, we really do welcome that diversity of academic background as well. So I think it's possible to come from a variety of fields with a variety of interests. As long as you've got that kind of passion for applying psychology to your field of interest, then that's what we look for. So there's a variety of different employability pathways that students go into, and they all range in terms of the kinds of salaries that you can achieve. So for clinical psychology, a typical clinical psychologist graduate that finishes a doctorate will begin on around £50,000 per year, and that will go up to over £100,000 depending on what the nature of the job is. So it's quite broad in terms of salary range, and that's similar for other doctoral training programs, so educational and forensic psychology. Forensic is a little bit lower. In terms of salaries for the likes of data science, that very much depends on the kinds of sector that you end up in, but it's a similar range, so ranging from kind of 30k to 80k per year. And then in other professions, in things like teaching, it's similar. So you'll start on about 30k per year.